rapid development of technological advancements have made it possible for people to progress as a society in many different aspects. We use technology in our everyday lives for the purpose of connecting and networking with people across the globe, ordering our food, and for some, our livelihoods are dependent on technology. It goes without saying that the journalism industry has grown alongside technological advancements, and journalists have had to learn how to adapt to the ever-changing media landscape.
With the world facing the COVID-19 pandemic, newspapers have been severely affected by losses in advertising revenue. Journalists have been laid off and some publications have stopped. Journalists have worked to combat misinformation in providing accurate public health updates. With all this happening, how do we as the future journalists prepare ourselves to head into the industry that is already facing an uncertain future? Where do we go from here?
As journalism students, it is important we understand the ways in which the industry has evolved with technology, especially now since the pandemic has affected this development. So we present to you two journalism alumni to share their experiences and insights on the evolution of journalism in the age of digitalization.
Kalau nak katakan perubahan, beberapa tahun sebelum ini pun media kita akan sentiasa berubah. Berubah dari segi penggunaan ataupun saluran yang untuk menyampaikan berita. Kalau dulu kita gunakan saluran newspaper untuk sampaikan maklumat, sekarang dah ada media sosial dan sebagainya. Poin saya dekat sini adalah apapun perubahan ataupun evolusi yang berlaku dalam platform media ini, dia bukannya menjadi satu masalah pun kepada kita. Jangan fikir, okey, kita dah beralih kepada aspek ataupun penggunaan digital. Kita dah risau, kita kena macam belajar semua benda ni. Tak payah risau pun, sebab it's just alat untuk kita gunakan. Semacam kita boleh belajar pun, kita boleh menyesuaikan dengan alat-alat baru seperti inilah. Tapi mungkin akan menjadi masalah kepada wartawan-wartawan yang lama, yang 20 atau 30 tahun yang lepas, yang mungkin ada segelintir dalam kalangan mereka yang masih terikat dengan cara lama. Wabak ni kira macam mengajar saya, tak kira dalam keadaan sekalipun, kita menggunakan apa sahaja caralah untuk membolehkan berita tu dihasilkan, tanpa kita perlu ke sidang media secara fizikal, secara bersemuka pada orang semua kan. Even secara online pun, kita boleh buat berita kita. Kan? Macam kalau ada orang buat PC secara live ke apa, kita buat je lah secara live. Buat macam biasa, tulis berita apa semua. Kalau tak boleh jumpa orang tu, call saja. Diorang akan jawab jugalah macam mana kan. So macam COVID-19 ni bukanlah alasan untuk kita tak boleh menyelesaikan tugasan yang diberikan lah. Apapun keadaan, tugasan tetap satu keutamaan lah.
I think it's pretty obvious the moment that we can see most of the nations, like even Malaysia actually, we are heading towards digitalization, as you can call it like. When we talk about digitalization, we automatically are talking about technology, how advanced it will be and how advanced it is right now. So it is getting easier and we are getting much more connected with the changes. But when we have too much freedom, too much easy work, we tend to forget that it is actually challenging when we are talking about how to differ between fake and true news macam tu kan. That's when ethics and juga professionalism comes into our mind. Everyone is becoming, so we can see from social media kan, people tweet something and then it can easily create havoc. Scary. It's even scarier from the pandemic itself. One misleading or misinformation yang kita sebar kepada orang, it can panic tu yang saya rasa macam menakutkan. So it is challenging but it is easier juga. So it depends on how we utilize it and how we perceive it and how we as a user juga, walaupun kita juga provide content but we are also a user juga kan. Kita pun baca juga pasal artis, pasal news, pasal lain-lain. So I can come to a conclusion that it is challenging juga walaupun in a way it's easy.
The pandemic outbreak has become the catalyst for various increased evolution towards digitalization. Society has been shifting towards adapting to virtual-based platforms, and this can be seen in the education sectors and also the media industry.
Despite the challenges that we face in the field today, there is still hope for the future of journalism as strive to adapt to these changes by expanding their skills and developing a solid resilience for any challenges that come their way. Remember, with evolution, the only way to move forward is for us to evolve as well. My name is Alia Zafri.
And I'm Shazwan Mustafa. Reporting for Sasaran.
Hi everyone and good afternoon. Thank you for joining the Journalism Colloquium 2020 organized by the final year journalism students. So while we wait for the session to start, I just want to remind you that you are required to register today for you to receive an e-certificate. As you can see, there is a QR code on your screen and you can scan the QR code and fill in the form. If you are not able to scan the QR code, and the link is available in the chat box for you to access the Google form. Also, a strict reminder, please turn off your mics throughout the session and turn on your camera so that we can see you. There will also be a streaming on YouTube and the link will be in the chat box so that you can pass it around to those who may be interested in joining us today. If you have any questions, we will have a Q&A session towards the end, so you can ask your questions then. At the end of this event, we will have a photo session, so please make sure you are ready for that and have your camera on. Hi, Mr. Ashwad. Can you hear me? Hello?
Can you hear me well?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Hi. So for now, we will just play the montage first, and then we can start our session right after that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. right, welcome back everyone to the Journalism Colloquium 2020. Welcome to the Deputy Dean of Academic, Dr. Wan Hartini Zainuddin, the Head of Center for Mass Media Studies, Puan Zalifah binti Abdul Wahab, all program coordinators, our journalism lecturers, Madam Azinawati Ngainon and Ms. Nurul Iman Dimyati. So before we begin, I would like to remind everyone again to register for this session for you to receive the e-certificate. You can fill in the registration form and the link is available in the chat box for you to access the Google Form. Also, please turn off your mics and turn on your cameras so that we can see you. There will also be a we're interested in watching. If you have any questions, we specifically have a Q&A session at the end so you can ask your questions then. At the end of this event, we will have a photo session, so please make sure you're ready for that and have your cameras on. Now, for the exciting part, let's begin this session by introducing our panel, who is one of the first icons who graced the television screen since Astro Awani first launched in 2007. He was awarded the Anugerah Sri Angkata's Best News Announcer, Best News Coverage Award, and Special Jury Award for his courage in embarking on the dangerous international flotilla mission to Gaza in June 2010. He is Ashwad Ismail, currently Managing Editor at Astro Awani. He will be providing us his insight on the situation in the newsroom during the pandemic and how journalists conduct themselves in times of crisis. So without further delay, let's welcome him to this session. Hi, Mr. Ashwad, how are you?
Hello, Aisha. How are you? How's everyone? Good?
Everyone good? Okay, sorry, how would you like me to address you, Mr. Ashwad? Is it okay?
Yeah. Just call me Ash. It's fine.
Ash.
Ashwad. It's fine.
Okay. Okay, so how have you been throughout this very
Well, so far so good. Based on we always keep ourselves busy. Busy means good. So good for our business, good for our news coverage, and at the same time, of course, unprecedented moment since last March. I think at the global landscape since December last year, so almost about a year now, and that's pretty much of it. And the most important here is how we adapt into all with this current pandemic and the impact on our industry as well. And it's not just that, but also on our daily life is changing tremendously. What we have seen so far with all the new norms that have been implemented on a daily basis, the way we conduct our work, the way we our social relationship, our social interaction have changed tremendously, and it's fastened a lot in terms of the whole realm of the way we do business, and also certain things that when we do a bit of for example, we did a bit of reflection for the past about a year, for the past 1 year, I guess. A lot more need to be done, and we realized a lot of improvement needs to be done in terms of our access to data, access to news coverage, and all of this impacted our daily life. Indeed, yeah.
So do you think that throughout this pandemic, do you think the industry is faring quite well, or do you think it's still quite a struggle?
Well, struggle sometimes is good, because I think with that struggle, we keep ourselves alert on a lot of new things, and it fastened the way we adapt into digitalization, for example, and the way we do our business, and the way we do our reporting on daily basis, and the way we communicate among each other. I guess we come to realization that we need more of technological advancements that helps to propel our industry. In this case, for example, I guess for Astro Awani per se, because we are small, so we've been doing a lot of Skype interview, Google Meet, and Google Hangout back then. So for us, it's about business as usual when it comes to managing the platforms digitally. Content delivery. most important here is how do we adapt and make do of all technology that we have and strengthen our storytelling. And that's the most important part. And for us, I guess it's about coordination, running 24 hours on linear as well as on digital, and also actively providing information, actively engage with our audience on social media. So that's these triple point, right, is the most important part that we have to manage on a minutely basis. So to share about the challenges, right, there are a lot of challenges, macam-macam ada. So this is the best part. Before this, we don't know how to for example, things that before this perception was, if you are just armchair journalist, right? So you're not great journalist per se. But nowadays, you can access a lot of information at the same time. You can access a lot of data, and that alone can help us in terms of strengthening our storytelling, data journalism, and data visualization. That is something consumable nowadays. So people have short attention span. The way we consume content has changed a lot. The content consumption landscape has changed tremendously for the past 1 decade. So I guess this is the best part of all of us, right? When we try to approach certain content differently, and we realize there are a lot of opportunities, even though you are armchair journalists. So the way we define content creation is huge, is wide, it's very wide. So I guess there's no such thing as even you're not going out for assignment, you can still access to those information, and how you package it and how you tell the story is the most important part here.
Yes, that's true. And actually, sometime last year, I went to the Awani office in Bursa. Yeah, because I actually had an assignment, and I'm familiar with Naila.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the same school. So one of the most interesting part of the Awani office was actually, to me, the graphics room, where it was very dark and only the computer screens were lit up, and like they were all looked so cool just doing their work at the computer. But what I can tell is that you guys work very closely with each other. Like there's a lot of like people going from department to department to, you know, talk about what changes need to be done and all that. But how do you conduct newsroom activities now, especially in light of the fact that there were times when nobody could go to the office?
Okay, so since MCO, right, the day that the government announced the movement control order, what we did was we split the team into three. At the nerve center of Bukit Keuangan, the Bursa Malaysia, the one that you went. That's one. Number two, we had another pop-up newsroom and studio in WTC KL, at the heart of KL. And of course, that one is work from home for those who are quite, risked to go out, pregnant ladies and seniors. So those people, they are working from home even until now. And this is the best part. I think before this, we quite skeptical about working from home. How's the productivity going to be like? And the rest, right? This is the best part. For people who are working from home, their productivity has increased tremendously by 20%, based on my observation and what we had gauged based on their output, the outcome. So to say that that's the new norm that we had to, the new norms that we somehow enjoying it now, basically. So I guess for us, the best part is when we coordinate, there must be enough point, the nerve center, that making sure the decision making, one, and also the content news gathering, and also the outcome, the output. That's the best part of we have multiple point of newsroom, basically. It's like CNN has around the world, right? London, Doha, Kuala Lumpur and stuff, right? So for us, that's in a bit smaller scale compared to the giant. But when it comes to our coordination, when it comes to our content news gathering, so we had to manage on daily basis. In terms of where do you see and stuff like that. So I guess that's pretty much of social distancing nowadays. We are actually quite open in that sense. So when we had this and make sure they wear the grassroots content, right? So we need to work closely with the whoever the power that be. For example, the government and the government agencies and the enforcement authority. So those are the people and also the frontliners actually working very hard in terms of making sure that we flatten the curve and how to make sure that people are safe on daily basis. That's one. And another part is the impact of the COVID-19 is really, really huge. People lost their jobs. A lot of businesses had to close down their shop and their organizations. The way we, I guess, it's something that we need to look into and make sure that so this kind of time there are a lot of inspiring content out there. How the society people this is really, really a huge content, really heartbreaking content that helps us in terms of look at the society, and we are part of the society socialization process as well. So we understand how do they feel. So when you go around and look at the businessman had to close down the shop, for example, right? The small medium enterprises, especially the micro SMEs, it's very sad. So how are they going to survive after this? So there are a lot of initiatives out there introduced by the government. There are a lot of initiatives introduced by civil society organization that help them to propel or to bounce back with something else. Yeah.
Right. Going back on what you said, basically what's important for us is to keep churning out stories, because no matter what, even like you said, even if you're an armchair journalist, you can still be able to write stories. But especially during this time where a lot of false information have gone around, have you ever seen, have you ever witnessed or even experienced yourself the feeling of the pressure to churn out stories to the point where, like the journalist does not really focus on fact checking, where because the priority to them is making sure that they get their stories out, especially in terms of scary deadlines are. Yeah, do you have it
Of
yourself?
course, I think we have to deal with it on daily basis. that one A in our blood. So the facts must be right. So that we don't just simply condone into whatever the fake news. Or I think that remains going to be one of our biggest challenge for upcoming 2021, not just in Malaysia but at the global landscape as well. Speaking of that, I guess the way we conduct our verification process must be really in a proper structure. This is very important for us because for 24 hours news channel like Astro Awani, we really go for speed. But at the same time, when we have this proper mechanism in place, structure, each and every one of us, from a journalist up to editors, I think all of us understand talk to people who just look at the title and the first paragraph. Kalau rajin sikit, second paragraph, and then that's it. So that's quite challenging, you see, because that's how people consume in the modern days journalism, because of the short attention span. Everything just less than 15 seconds, and that's it. So this is the best part. When we talk about those fake news out there, of course, we have witnessed so many times, not just one or two. You see, when we receive an information, we know for sure the next step need to be taken is to call that respective parties involved. Be it, for example, a story about this particular zone or area or kampung or district, mereka kata kena tutup for EMCO. So that we have to check whether that is true or otherwise. Usually those content based on hearsay or the information went out quite earlier compared, the speed of that particular information was out very fast because of the social media. Everyone can access social media, right? So that's very important for us to actually look deeper into not just firefighting all the time, but also to predict what's next. And for us, all journalists inside newsroom, will be aware of that kind of realm of the scenario, right? Thank God that we have big data machine, for example, or dashboards to help us predict in the next 2 hours, in the next half an hour, in the next 1 hour, what are the stories that will catch people's attention simply just by looking at the clickbait or by looking at the rate of people clicking that particular story, right? So that technology helps us in terms of looking at facts and how to make sure that all there's a clear understanding and there's a clear mechanism on how to separate which is which. Sometimes kita tengok it looks so real, but it's not real at all. It's all fake news. So this one we have to be very aware on daily basis. And unfortunately, cabarannya kekal menjadi cabaran untuk the next coming year, 2021 onwards. So beware, all of you, joining later on in the industry, or you guys are doing journalism and communication, right? Look at the content and think. So most important here is we think before we share, before we look into, sometimes kita ni excited. So bila kita excited, apa kita buat? Kita share dengan cepat. This is where the problem comes in. And by not realizing it, you just spread all the fake news to the people out there. And that really something that you need to look into and match that up with what are the technologies out there or the best practices by other organizations to curb this kind of fake news or false information in the society. Yeah.
So going back to about like social media,
Mhm.
obviously back then, maybe even like a decade before, there weren't really like two-way communications between the news outlets and the people. So with the rise of social media, obviously there have been a lot of feedbacks. Every single time you churn out a story,
Mhm.
there are quotes, retweets, there are comments on Instagram. Do you believe that that is actually an improvement for the news networks, not just maybe not just Awani, but also basically internationally? Is it better to have that even if the comments are really negative? Do you think it is actually better for us to have that?
Well, sometimes it is not good for our mental health. You see what you see on social media, because majority of it pretty much focus on uh, negative comments. You see, all these negative comments. That's it, man. And then you feel angry, stress, all because of that. So then you decided not to jump simply into social media and join the bandwagon. Kalau orang tengah marah, okay, let's join the bandwagon and hentam. That's why I guess we cannot control that. Let people express their feelings. One good thing about this is we can gauge their sentiment, we can gauge their views, and we can understand what are the thinking behind it. So this is very important for newsroom to understand the people, right? So before this is we need to go down and speak to the people. But now, before we go down and speak to the people, we kind of understand what are the sentiments down there, their views, and also their opinion on certain things. So that's one of the good things that we can actually start our assignment way earlier by looking just open up Twitter or Instagram comments. Just throw one posting. What do you think of this guy? And that's it. People started to jump in and comment on that particular issues. Then you understand, oh, there are three views. And this is the best about journalists. Journalists has the ability to sort information. When they have this ability to sort the information, they sort all the information and do the summary very well. So basically, for this particular issue, for example, water issues in Selangor, what are the solutions out there, right? So when you go out and you see a lot of feedback, so then you started to segregate those views and opinions and also ideas out there and start put point 1, point 2, point 3 by doing the indexing, point 1, point 2, point 3, point 4. So then you understand better. And then you go down and try to find the solution. That's one. And of course, the negative side of it, but we look into the negative side of it, that is the reflection of the whole realm on social media. Are you saying that social media is bad? Well, I would say social media is good for us to gauge the sentiment. It's good for us to gauge the opinion way earlier. That's one of it. But we need to train our people. We need to train our society, not to say that we need to train them, but we need to inculcate this kind of culture pretty much more constructive in giving out opinions. So that's very important for us to help the society and simplify for them and look at the solution. So these are the things about this issue, for example. The top 3 key takeaways from this analysis. So for people to digest it on social media, because at the end of the day, it's just about this swipe through, right? Swipe here, swipe there, swipe here, swipe there. Just scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. All this. When you come up with those kind of good information and knowledge, and then people will respect and people will appreciate that more because we help them to make better decision after. Yep.
All right. So, yeah, just now you were saying be careful of like to our bets, be careful of what you're gonna get into, and there are a lot of things that can or might go wrong. So, being very young ourselves, there are a lot of things that we are afraid of in the industry, especially when if we churn out stories that might hurt some parties. So, actually, personally, for example, if you're the journalist and you write out a story and you receive backlash, does then which party like actually received the worst, like so far from your experience? The journalists themselves or the news network?
Well, this is the best part about being transparent. You see, number one, you must be very clear. If let's say for example, because you guys are media organizations too, you see, you have your Facebook account. That's it, man. You have your own media house. For example, your media house, you need to be clear. What is your raison d'être? Your purpose of existence. So you must have the purpose. So, for example, let's say your media of Aisha, or say Aisha.com, right? Or news with Aisha. That's your platform, right? For example lah. So kita kena clear dengan purpose kita ni apa. You must have that clear purpose because one, with that raison d'être, will help you to navigate your objective. Dia macam kita bawa kapal and you have a compass. So when you have that, your guiding principle is clear and that's your compass to drive your content to your particular audience. You must be very specific. For example, Astro Awani, we are neutral and impartial. So, which means on the other side, dua-dua mana-mana parties across the spectrum will criticize us. So bila dua-dua marah kita, for example, like in politics, I think politics is easier lah because it's too fragmented, like it's too partisan, up to the point that when we throw one content out, you must make sure that there's always right of reply, balance, and let them debate. So dua-dua parties akan marah kita, you see. So I guess I'm happy with that. It shows that Astro Awani is neutral and impartial. And if you guys are angry at us, that's our job lah. Basically, so we're doing it right. That's on the normal politics partisans perspective. But most important here, what do we stand for? We are here to educate. We are here to inform. We are here to entertain. That's the fundamental of media, right? And you have to add one more. We are here to inspire others as well. When we have these all four, we understand that for sure, all the elements of advocacy must be there. Kita kena percaya dan certain things that we want to push through. For example, that I think we've been spending with the same water issues for the rest of your life, right? Sejak you beranak sampai ke ni. For myself, like sejak dulu lah. I mean, that's where I guess we need to be very bold in that sense by pushing certain things forward. And I guess we have no problem with that. But feedbacks from audience very important. For example, like let's say, what do they say about certain things? We just want to make sure that people will keep on engaged with us in terms of ideas how to improve ourselves and make sure that the future is better from what we are having today. Yang tu is the most important part in media industry, and as a platform to debate, as a platform for dialogue. I think we need to make sure that each and every one of us across all parties, races, and discuss about what best for the country. So bila kita ada platform macam tu, this is what we are. So the dialogue must be there. Dia macam pepatah Melayu berkata, tidak kenal maka tak cinta. So tak cinta macam mana kalau kita tak kenal hang aku. So yeah, that's those things really work. So we need to be clear of our guiding principle. So bila kita, there's always two sides of the coin. Satu, kalau dia kata no, tak bagus, tak engine. The platform is for people to consume content and help them to make better decision. Yeah.
Very inspiring.
Tapi macam-macam lah. There are a lot of challenges to begin with, but it's fine. It's fun. I don't know. Some people will say that we drive ourselves day to day, right? the one that really drives us is our passion. Our passion about content, people, and kita ni kena sentiasa bawa perubahan dalam apa jua keadaan. So, untuk sentiasa maju ke depan, those are the things that I think we need to do. Small little things, you know. First is to kenal each other better. You know, there are a lot of views. There are a lot of hatred sometimes. So let's put that aside and start to talk to each other. Once you connect, and then you start to have more empathy and you start to address things well. You start a kid, for example, my daughter. I don't know, before this I was an angry man too. Around your age, I know a lot of activism yang menyaluti kewartawanan itu. Don't stop to be idealistic. Push for a greater heights. Sometimes when we try to look for impossible with small little things, small little steps, you will reach the impossible. Never limit yourself with apa nama dia panggil yang biasa-biasa ni. Kita kalau nak go, you strike for the best. Where do you want to achieve in 3 years time? Siapa tak jawapan tu, but what we know for sure that we want to be the best in whatever things that we are doing. We just want to be the best lah. Kalau ada nombor 1 tu atas lagi, we want to hit that roof. So there was the spirit and the passion that drive us forward, basically. We're a small family, by the way. I guess the time has come for all of us to understand that there are a lot of challenges in the media industry. For example, like on the business side of it, revenue, digital. Okay, ini kita susahkan sikit lagi conversation ya. Digital revenue, for example, is not as huge as pengiklanan or advertising zaman dulu. They're very slow. That's why you see a lot of print media now have cut down, laid out a lot, thousands of people across all regions, not just in Malaysia. Ramai yang hilang kerja journalism. Why? Because of the giants of Facebook and Google. They disrupt this whole landscape of advertising as well. So media companies sentiasa mencari-cari jalan untuk macam mana to find the right balance for revenue and also content. Digital revenue adalah sangat slow and it's controlled by those giants. Sebab tu you tengok, I think last week, Australia come up with their rules, Parliament they approve, Australia will make Google and Facebook to pay news outlet. Why? Because of these kind of issues. And do you think it is easy to ask the giants to pay news outlet? Meaning to say that what? After this news outlet in Australia tak ada Google decided not to pay. So, but they are making billions, hundreds of billions of dollars. So we need to find that right strategy to survive. And there's no right formula. What is the best digital ADEX formula for the news organization to survive from business perspective? I guess, nampak tak? Yang tadi kita cakap lah challenges ataupun cabaran dalam kalangan apa nama? Dalam dunia kandungan content. Bersama dengannya adalah the business behind it. So we need to think properly. We need to start to look deeper into the creative ways and the smarter ways to survive in the world of multiple platforms, content delivery, and also at the same time make sure that the sustainability of our financial health remain strong, because at the end of the day we need to pay our banyak periuk nasi yang terpaksa kita jaga, bukan terpaksa kerana terpaksa, but that's how the business is running. fundamental. But at the same time, of course, we want to make sure that we sustain ourselves, making sure that semua orang ni tak buat kerja free, stuff like that. How about you guys? You guys discuss this in the class or something?
Yeah, I mean, in class, a real life issue, maybe check out on the news. Our lecturers like to purposely ask.
I think this kind of thing is good conversation that you guys need to do a lot of research and also try to creative way. Dia punya nak pick up benda rocket science is actually to find the right mechanism how you create a business, content business, but make sure it's sustainable. So I guess this is the best for you guys during this time. Dalam kelas kita fikir apa tau? Kita fikir macam starting from now we have to make sure that if you are a journalist at heart, now what we need to do is try to add more knowledge and skills how to be an entrepreneur at the same time. Then you start to have those solid skill set when you jump into industry. For all you know, you don't have to join any companies. In fact, you create your own and provide jobs for others.
Yeah, because this semester is the first time that we even have a subject called Business and Economics Reporting. And I know a lot of us, even among my peers, we're all struggling with that subject because so far it's always writing, and basically, but we're good. I would say that more than half of us are quite adept at investigative journalism, data journalism, but when it comes to business and economics, it's all numbers, and we're all like, what is going on?
Oh, so actually, I beg to differ. Let me use this opportunity to do that. Don't be afraid of that. Why? One, it's not the numbers. It's the story behind it. For example, kita meletakkan wajah pada numbers tersebut. For example, okay, kalau dia kata pendapatan tahunan sebanyak 2 juta ringgit terhadap sebuah company A. The story behind it is macam mana dia dapat menjana pendapatan sebanyak 2 million ringgit per annum setahun. Am I right? So it's not the numbers. It's the story of the story of how one particular business and the people behind it managed to get 2 million ringgit still. So kalau you go deeper, the story behind it is actually not so much of business. It's the idea on how to sell. It's the idea on how to conceptualize the idea of how to conceptualize their own business ideas and turn it into action, and the whole drama of executing those ideas that help them to achieve the 2 million ringgit setahun. Untuk bisnes, kalau dikata bisnes, that's why kita akan sentiasa, kalau orang yang meluat matematik ni, dia akan tutup mata dan membukakan telinga macam, tak suka. It's just the surface, it's about the numbers. Tapi cerita dia, how does this story impact my life as your audience? Apa kena-mena? What is it? What's in it for me? So what does this mean to me? This story. Okay, when we have that philosophy and question, it's actually not just a story about the number and ringgit. It's about the story of the business player, kreatif gila, terror sangat-sangat, and manage to achieve that 2 million ringgit per annum. And that constitute, patah balik, when you look at the bigger picture, kita sedang membawa negara ini untuk menjadi sebuah negara berasaskan kepada keusahawanan. We don't want our country just to be consumer nation sahaja, negara yang mengguna tapi tak buat apa. So these are the things that will inspire others to do more, and at the end of the day, the impact and the one going to see the fruitful impact later on adalah kita juga. So patah balik, look at that feelings of alamak apa ni story business and economics. It's actually not the business and economics behind it. It's the people who runs that business and economics behind it. And you meletakkan wajah pada nombor-nombor yang kita tak suka numbers tu. So I guess that's the best. Sebab tu kalau you tengok story on COVID-19, during this COVID-19 kan, there's one particular lady, she used to work at a hotel, and suddenly hotel dia tutup because of COVID-19. Because tak ada tourists, blah 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 blah, hotel tutup, she lost her job. Okay, how long does it? How long did it take for her to bounce back? You know how long? Guess what? Just 1 week. And then she got the idea. She got this idea. Okay, how about I take the initiative dia dapat duit from ni lah apa penjana prihatin apa segala ni, all this initiative from the government, and he took that money one off 1,000 ringgit. With that 1,000 ringgit, she turned into business capital. Dia beli ikan, dia beli sayur, dia beli semua segala, and dia repackage it and dia buat delivery. You know how dia buat ni? Dulu dia punya gaji was about 3,000 plus. With that particular idea, they generate 2,000 ringgit a week. So you times 4 adalah 8,000 ringgit sebulan. Don't you think it's inspiring stories? What do you guys think? You tell me. And that is business stories, guys. It's about the people who struggle and manage to survive and did it tremendously well. So benda-benda macam ni yang, for me, that is story of our SMEs. How it started because of the crisis. Every crisis there is an opportunity, and tiba-tiba dia jadi seorang businessman yang berjaya. Tak ada COVID-19, kalau hotel dia masih buka, dia masih kerja makan gaji, and still 3,000 plus ringgit, maybe maximum 4 a month. Now with that, dia buat 2,000 ringgit a week, you times 4, 8,000 ringgit a month. Which is which? Tell me which one is better. And that is business story. If you guys have question and to debate about that story, let's do it now.
Yeah, I mean, our lecturer, when she knows how intimidating numbers are to most of us lah, because we all, like, everyone assumes kita masuk communication because we're not into mathematics. So as soon as a subject with a lot of numbers is introduced, mesti orang macam ni, mesti it's a struggle lah. But yeah, she's always, like, our lecturer always emphasizes on there are so many ways you can re-angle the story. Don't stress yourself out by looking at the financial part of the story. There's marketing, there's like memang banyak lah. And I guess it kind of correlates with what you said. It's important to put a face to a story to make it into an actual story lah, make it interesting.
Dia bukan story number, dia story manusia. So that numbers I think help people, audience to understand that macam rupanya macam ni. So tak ada jadi orang takut sangat. If you try to look and to approach that the way we do stuff during high school for additional math, matematik tambahan, memang kita ada masalah. Tapi kalau kita apply on daily basis, rupanya if you learn about inertia in physics kan, in daily life is always a lot of inertia, right? You naik kereta, inertia, sambil berjalan, inertia, you will learn about momentum on daily basis. So that's why I guess when I learned physics back then in school, when I learned additional math in school, I don't really understand. But once you know how to apply that particular formula, rupanya with this particular formula, untuk macam mana kita nak run our daily life, and then you know how to apply, then straight away. So don't be too scared about numbers, because business story is about the people who drive. And at the end of the day, the numbers is because those people behind it. Is a community-based stories. Macam mana they survive. Don't worry so much about the numbers.
Okay, everyone, we can do business and economics. So,
yeah.
Okay, so I think it's time we open the floor to the public for questions because even the pre-prepared questions that come in to us from the public pun quite a lot. So we can say that you're quite popular with the students. And then, yeah, so now I open the floor to the public, whoever has questions for our panelists.
Go ahead. If there's no question, but I'll ask you a question straight away. I can see all the names here. Aiman, Iza, siapa lagi?
Okay, our student Nazifa has a question for you. Nazifa?
Hi, Mr. Ashwad. Okay,
Hello, hi, Nazi.
this question may not be related much to what we discussed today. I just want to get your personal perspective on this. We all know that there are citizens, that genuine citizens who want to report the news to the public. And even in 2009 pun, Astro Awani ada introduce this one program called You Wartawan where it promotes citizen journalism. Malaysia kini pun put an effort untuk apa nama ni? Make a cause for citizen journalists. So do you think that citizen journalists, these genuine citizen journalists, help to contribute positively and lessen the burden of the journalists during this time of crisis?
Oh, of course, yes. They help us a lot. I give you for one example of we cannot go inside the kawasan PKPD, for example, kan? That's why I said macam mana we engage with those people, even ketua kampung yang tak tahu perkataan Skype tu, and suddenly because of COVID-19, and they really want to understand what's going on within the kampung of that particular cordon area of PKPD, and they started to, and this one particular ketua kampung of, tak ingat mana di kawasan PKPD itu, but during that PKPD time, during MCO, and that particular ketua kampung install dia punya Skype, and dia pandai within the less than half an hour, dia tu pandai pakai Skype. Imagine people who are not, for example, even our businesses before punya lah nak jump into to digitalize their business kan, tak pernah ada dia punya produk nowhere, somewhere online, and because of this COVID-19, they pivot themselves, cepat dia beralih dia punya strategi cepat. So sama juga macam dalam case ni, I think they help us, even citizens themselves help us in getting the right stories. Ada setengah benda underreported, somewhere in the heart of the interior of Sabah and Sarawak, for example. So those people really help us. Something is going on, and something really big going on over there. Contoh macam, macam this one particular students turn into an entrepreneur, duduk kawasan pedalaman Sabah, manage not just normal entrepreneur buat barang jual ke orang, tak, but social entrepreneurship together bersama dengan with cause, dia ada perjuangan dia sendiri untuk nak to make sure that the society dekat sana is win-win for all, the consumer and also the business, but at the same time they brings good to the society at large when it comes to modern pertanian di dalam kawasan pedalaman di Borneo. So those story was pop up because of one particular citizen who raised it on Facebook and Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. So we pick it up and we turn it into one of our great content, and of course people will click and read. Once we have the narrative strategy properly, orang akan tengok, this is nice content, people start to read it. Yeah.
And do you think program like You Wartawan should be continued? And why is there not much of effort in educating the citizen to become a journalist or to become a genuine reporters? What do you think of it?
I guess it's not. It doesn't reside only one particular program. Apa yang berlaku selepas You Wartawan adalah, for us, every minute must be ada element of You Wartawan. You tengok, for example, you have the big data dashboards, right? And then this big data, big data dashboards too, you have that conversation going on. The other look like a spider web, right? And suddenly one spider web concentrated on this particular topic. Contohnya tak boleh nak ambil exam because dia nak kena pijak pokok untuk nak ambil exam because of the story of connectivity, right? So this kind of conversation, and it was mooted by the citizen themselves. So kita tidak perlu menunggu untuk satu program luar tahu. So kita dah morph ourselves, kita dah berubah. Kita realise that, oh, sebab my first Twitter reporting was 2009. Bila tu 11 years ago. That was my first Twitter reporting. And then after that, we embarked into social media aggressively. And then waktu tu transition tu yang ada you wartawan. And then after a while, then we realized not just within this program, we should be across all of Astro Awani. Kat mana sahaja kita ada ruang dan peluang, and based on my understanding of what the consumption is now, looking at the pattern, orang tidak menunggu masa anymore. We just have to create one particular content and send it out. Whether pukul 6:30 pagi ke, 9 pagi ke, tengah hari ke, for us every minute is prime time. We have changed the way we define prime time. Dulu prime time 8 o'clock. Sekarang prime time kau apa? Dia setiap minit tu prime time because whenever you open up your phone, oh okay, only got, info masuk. That's news. So our breaking news is like all the time. Yeah. Did I answer your question? I did, I hope.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, Ashwad, we have one more question from one of our participants on the YouTube stream. He's actually our journalism batchmate. He asked,
Okay.
How did you handle your situation in Palestine during your flotilla mission years ago?
Oh, I was scared. I was scared, definitely. And but of course, being a journalist, we must always prepare ourselves for the worst. Most important here is to make sure that we really need to get the stories out. The stories back then was Gaza was under siege, the tutup border and the rest. And when you the people out there, I mean, our brothers and sisters in Gaza, they're having a lot of problems. So they need a lot of help. So how do I manage myself? Yeah. Number one, I anticipate the worst. I always anticipate the worst. So I always have this risk assessment. Scenario A, scenario B, scenario C, scenario D. So whenever scenario A happen, this is what I need to do. Scenario B happen, this is what we need to do. Being a journalist, we must prepare ourselves for that one, for whatever situation. The most important here, how to get the stories out, and how to make sure that this particular story will impact positively towards the people out there and really bring change to the people. Yang tu kita punya biggest aspiration, biggest matlamat, biggest objective whenever we go out for an assignment. It's not just about, remember, when you create content, it's not about you. It's about that particular person or that particular subject or that particular society, that particular community. So when you have that clear conscience, when you want to create content, for me that is the most important element whenever we go out. It's not about us appear on TV. It's not about us appear on screen of your mobile phone. It's about us getting the stories out. So we must be very clear, be humble, and I always tell this to all of my teammates, my colleague, and even myself, the gentle reminder sometimes. Number one is you must make sure that the attitude is right, positive attitude. Dua, you have the ability to adapt with the dynamic of change. Whenever perubahan itu berlaku, kita adapt dengan cepat. Dua elemen ini adalah sangat penting dalam kita berurusan. And the third and the most important part is you always stay humble. To get the story is not that easy. It's about us listening to others. So when you have that in you, whatever problems, crisis that be later on, you have the ability to manage it well. Yang paling penting adalah kita tak panik, tak gelabah, tak kelam kabut. And when you have that clear mind, the thought behind something, and I guess you can survive and you can grow very well. You can go far in this industry, not just within this industry, across all. For me, there's very grey, thin line yang membezakan satu industri dengan yang lain. But the fundamental remain the same.
Alright, so the student Adi, I hope Ashwad answered your question. And we have time for just one more question also from our student Nabila. She asked, seperti mana yang kita tahu, memang sekarang kita bergantung kepada data untuk melihat update COVID-19.
Okay.
Di setengah negara seperti China dan Brazil ada laporan tentang kerajaan mereka tidak mendedahkan data yang sebenar. So as journalists in Malaysia, how does the team at Awani verify data for COVID-19 cases?
So we work closely with the government of the day. We work closely with the Ministry of Health. And we have seen and work closely with National Security Council, MKN, Majlis Keselamatan Negara. And the way, we understand for sure that a lot of our frontliners down there is dealing, especially when you think of the CPRC, right? The center, they are actually struggling getting the numbers minute by minute, and how the leaders of that particular, for example, in this case is DG Sham, is trying to, on minutely basis, getting the numbers out. So we work closely with many parties. One is the government agencies, the government, and number two is the civil society. Here, there must be a strong collaboration and synergy intertwined, hand in hand, both sides. So most important here is when we verify the numbers, we talk to the sources and we connect with our on-ground. For example, let's say katalah dia kata Kedah in the bad shape, for example dulu. So we try to get the numbers out. We try to see what's going on over there. So when you look at the quantum of people on ground, especially apa nama yang pakai PPE, ni frontliners yang pakai PPE semua ni ramai. So then you understand, this is really serious. Then you tengok KKM is like mobilizing the team from one state to another to support. Macam Sabah at one point was huge. Macam mana from KKM people, our nurses or doctors and stuff, police, tentera semua segala, mobilized from Peninsula to be a strong support system for Sabah. That alone is one of the ways that we can actually gauge the intensity of that particular problem. Now it's not about the story about COVID-19 is not just about the numbers. It's about our muscle and how to make sure that we can flatten the curve. And this is where the element of society, civil society organization, CSO, as well as the community empowerment must be there to make sure that this synergy will help to understand that we are actually still at war. So yes, macam mana verified, we have to work closely with various parties and get to see together of macam mana the whole intensity of that particular mobilization and how they galvanize their team to go on ground on daily basis. Then you understand the whole situation, the whole amount. Okay guys, it's 3 o'clock. I have another meeting to attend. I hope I answered all of your questions and at least you learn a bit lah, tak banyak pun, at least lah ingat lah, jangan takut numbers.
No, there were a lot of things that we learned. Even one of our classmates just said suddenly she's gonna be semangat for her business and economic punya report.
Oh, that's so sweet of you guys. So fast to turn you guys into a very positive journalist. Come on. Hopefully I see you guys in this industry. How long? Maybe in what, 1 year time?
Less than 1 year? Because
Good. Please keep in touch. If you have questions or whatever, just email me. I put my email here. Ashwad@gmail.com. Feel free to ask. And I guess one of you have my number. please ask support. Aiman is in contact with me. I have a time, I will reply definitely. And thank you very much, guys. I wish you guys all the best. Remember, attitude and have this ability to adapt to the change. Right?
So from what we learned, basically just be bold, be neutral, and don't let numbers chase you away.
Thank you.
Well, by the way, sorry everyone, is it okay if everyone turn on their cameras so that we can take a photo of the session to commemorate what went down today?
All right, cool.
Okay. Yeah, this is Aina, our head of project for the colloquium.
Hi, Aina.
Okay. Is everyone ready?
Ready?
Okay. 3, 2, 1. One more time. One more time. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you
Bye.
so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for participating.
Bye-bye.
We'll have a 10-minute break and we'll continue with the next session.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.